Today with Zeo the Hero and Billy. Jimmy's out. Sick. But he's on the screen. Jim. I got a theory.
What?
Something takes place in Japan.
What?
Power Rangers.
What?
And not the Super Sentai.
Wait. Am I going to have to listen to this whole thing and then edit it all together to make it all make sense, right?
Don't worry, Jimmy. You bring everybody much joy when you walk out of the room. Okay. And action. Or I can do like, and action. Nope, can't do it. Today, I, Billy, the host of Zeo the Hero podcast, will prove that there's a major conspiracy between the Rangers and Zordon. Something that you, the viewer, has never thought of, but it can be proven. It took us a while to figure it out. Some testing, science, and some setbacks. So we tried again with more sciences and testings. You're asking yourself, what is this idiot saying? There isn't anything new that already hasn't been uncovered in Power Rangers. And we would like to say that you are not wrong. This is old, much older than you think. This tracks back to season 1 to 5. Mighty Morphin to Turbo, and Turbo proves everything. Our theory, or unproven facts as we call them here at Zeo the Hero, is that Zordon is evil. Wait, no. That's Casey's. Go check them out at Mighty Morphin Conspiracy Theories on YouTube. The description will be in the links below. Our theory is that the Power Rangers didn't take place in America, but in an unproven fact in a small town right outside of Tokyo, and Turbo can prove it.
Shift into Turbo!
I know you want an explainer on how we got this unproven fact. Poor scientist. But anyways, we found some things. We found the town, and once we did, everything else just fits into place for this. Now, proven fact, but it won't be starting from here. I want to take you on a journey on how we got these findings. No explosions, I swear, but here we go. Energy discharge. RPM reference. So transition. We start by looking at our personal favorite people in this whole show, Bulk and Skull. In this very first episode of Turbo, where they are reapplying to be full officers with Lieutenant Stone, you can clearly see them wearing white gloves, which is something that the Japanese police do. And it all started from the Beatles. And if you want to know who they are, I'm old. Ask your grandparents. They also have a really fun nightstick fighting style.
Hey, remember the last class we took at the academy?
Yeah.
Let's do it!
This ought to be good.
Now what do you say?
This would also indicate them being in Japan, since officers are not issued firearms but are encouraged to have non-lethal fighting styles. So now we move on to one of the greatest Rangers ever, TJ. Gotcha, Tommy Stans. We will eventually get to Tommy's, so stop crying. TJ has a great episode that really helps cement this idea, and it's all about baseball. Baseball is a big sport all over the world, you say, but we say, boo-hoo. It is a huge deal in Japan, like a huge deal. The high school tournament hosted by Japan High School Baseball Federation and the NHK is on par with March Madness in America. Parents and students travel all over the country to compete in these tournaments, which are watched by millions. So TJ, playing baseball isn't a full closure, but it does lead us down a rabbit hole. From cultural to more personal quirks to really make this all make sense. So transition. The cultural relationships can all be coincidences, but what Rangers and townfolks are up to make the theory much more solid. Now for the Tommy stance. I hope you're happy now, but Tommy is a key point for Turbo. Do you notice how he was always late to the party?
Wait, what about Tommy? He'd never forgive himself if he didn't get a chance to say goodbye.
Tommy, you made it. Are you kidding me? I couldn't miss this.
He's hanging out with his brother and biological family in America and has to teleport back to Japan to rejoin the other Rangers. Another thing I could point out is that all stock car track employees, wouldn't people know who Tommy might be? But if he just spent his high school life in Japan, maybe nobody would know who he is in America.
What'd I tell you? That guy got potential or what?
Because even small towns, high schoolers are known around town. But transitioning from cars to school in episode 1 and 2 of Turbo, the Rangers graduating class is really, really small. Like maybe a private school small, and they mention senior trips in the closing speeches like a botanical garden and a recycling center.
Forget that wonderful senior class trip to the botanical gardens. Of course, the poison ivy was a bit of a problem.
And if anime has taught us anything, Japanese high school students either have magic powers or travel to some pretty cool places in like botanical gardens. So with the small size of the graduating class, this could seem as maybe a private school. But the principal also salutes the students, a custom from military members as a way of showing respect for civilians who have achieved something, like graduating from high school. With the large amount of respect that the teachers show the new graduates, we come across some greasier looking young adults in Japan.
Why do we always have to look bad? Don't you think we should be able to win for once?
Gee, let me think. No. All right, we'll settle this the old-fashioned way. Drag race?
Angel's Bluff.
I'm there.
They have a name called the Yankees. Or someone obsessed with trash American culture. Greaser culture was considered a trashy American lifestyle from the 60s, 1960s, mid 1970s. So we see these young adults riding around old American muscle cars, being tough guys. So we are watching these youngsters fit right in with the counterculture of their peers. Well, most of the people around there would take public transport or bikes. These guys decided it was a great idea to drive old American cars around. So transition. The next key argument for the Rangers really being located in Japan is the modes of transportation. I know. We're talking about Turbo, and that's a bunch of cars, but you'll be surprised with what we found. Bikes are everywhere. Justin uses the bike often to get around town. Japan is far more bike friendly than the United States. With Justin being on a bike a lot, you wonder what is going on with the cars all over the place too. Well, cars in Tokyo are a huge pain, but you start getting to know more rural areas, and they become far more common. What really irks me, I found most of our highways going in and around of Tokyo are freaking toll roads. Can you believe that? Man. But that makes sense. When you have a huge public rail system like Tokyo has, the roads aren't nearly as effective. But you tend to want to take the train since it would be cheaper and on time, while being in a car in a city not made for a car can get very annoying. And you ask yourself, why do all Americans have fancy American-made cars? Well, good observation, watcher, listener, all-around stalker. Get out of my window. Well, when you get out of the main city, it becomes far more common to have a car. And American cars in Japan are not expensive to own. So why not something to own from home that stands out a little bit? Coming in about 250,000 yen, which is about $20,000 American dollar dues, Yankee bucks, and yearly costs run about $3,000 to $4,000 a year for parking, tolls, gas, etc. Basically everything combined would roughly average $3,000 to $4,000 American, which would still come out pretty cheap. And we are not talking about a consideration that current 2020 fuel crisis. There are also some cars we see in footage that is right-hand side drive. To be entirely fair though, in Japan right-hand pretty much interchangeable with the average driver. So transition. Town transitions. Alright, faithful watchers. We are at the meat and bones now. The town. Oh, we found a town that meets all the requirements mentioned above. Drum roll, please. Okay, that was awkward. Well, we found it. It's called Yokota Air Force Base in Fuchsia, Japan. Fits so well, it's not even funny. So we have some points to make, like how near it is to Mount Fuji and other mountain ranges, the harbor, Tokyo, and ample public transit routes. The mountain ranges in Mount Fuji are great places for a command center to be placed. We see the command center in a desert with mountains.
Great! He could have sent us back into town.
And with the large land base around it, it could have been hidden for years. Or maybe Zordon has to deal with someone to keep the command center off the maps. And that is a point for later. But we are also right next to the harbor. where the Dragonzord could be. And there are a lot of fights right there at the harbor. A lot of stuff goes down by the water in Power Rangers, but I digress. So you look at public transport routes in Fusa, and how easy it is to get around. So say the Rangers are stranded at the command center. It would be a hassle, but not world-ending to get back home. Heck, in episode 1 of season 1, the team wants to walk home from the command center. That would mean that getting back could be fairly easy with public transport. You can see that most of the street names are Avenue and Street, which is an uncommentary basis overseas. So transition from the streets to the Tokyo. That was bad, but I'm keeping it in, you know. Megazord battles. Oh yeah, boys. Here's the second of the last points to prove us right, and all the battle footage we want to use without getting a copyright strike from the YouTubers. Explosions and effects. Explosions and sound effects. So, you ask yourself, why do the monsters fight in smaller towns, then grow big and attack buildings in the near cities? Well, to me, it always looked like Rita, Zed, King Mondo, and Divatox always wanted to get the Rangers before they morphed. Once they morphed, they grew big to do maximum damage before being destroyed.
Magic one! Make my Goldar grow!
So, you get to these smaller monsters trying to lure out the Rangers unmorphed. Hence the foot soldiers and attacking lightly.
Zordon, I'm surprised, teenagers! So, you think you can stop me, do you? Finster, hurry up with those putty patrollers!
Yes, your evil badness. I'm molding the last ones now.
Those putties will make space dust out of those kids.
And the beauty is, if they don't, we can always make more.
Then if they aren't successful in killing the Rangers, they morph and are defeated. You get the big old monsters in these densely packed buildings, like say in the neighborhoods of mega cities like Tokyo. These villains aren't stupid. They want to keep as much as the infrastructure is left in place so they don't have to rebuild it. You want to keep the economy rolling, you might end up being the overlord, but you need to keep the minions busy. Am I right? Or am I right? We also see a super quick evacuation time in the mega cities during all the monster attacks. What we think is that they get big in Fusa, then go find a collateral damage spots. While the Rangers are calling the Zords, we get a super fast evacuation in the time it takes for the beatdown to happen.
Come on! We gotta get out of here! We're under attack! But wait, what about our milkshakes? Forget about them, man! We gotta save ourselves! We just can't leave them here, man!
The last bit for Tokyo, and this is Jim's favorite part because he's a freaking nerd. Tokyo's infrastructure is entirely designed to move vertically. There isn't much horizontal movement because the city is kind of thin, normal urban sprawl. So the evac can happen down below street level. We also get to have something pretty boss like Turbo Megazords in an underground bunker in the tollways. Ta-da! So transition. Alright, here's the last bit that seals the deal. Zordon. He is the king in this whole chessboard of proven facts. He has his disembodied fingers in all the different pies around the world, and we are going to prove how it works. So for starters, Zordon always said not to reveal the Ranger's identity, but never said that he couldn't do it himself.
Now that you have become Power Rangers, you must follow 3 basic rules or lose the protection of the power. First, never use your power for personal gain. Second, never escalate a battle unless Rita forces you. And finally, keep your identity secret. No one may know you are a Power Ranger.
So he might have been in contact with government officials, military officials, heads of businesses and infrastructures, etc. He could have had many things built for the Rangers if need be, like the Turbo Zord hangars in the cities. Maybe a Zeo Zord hangar in the mountains? We also find out that Turbo Rescue Megazord is stored in the sewers and Phantom Ranger had to take the Rangers to them. Oh yeah. If you rewatch Turbo, you'll see it. And then they get a full-blown hangar in public view near the end of the season with the Turbo and Rescue Megazords? It's obvious. But that isn't even the worst part. He knew the Astro Megaship and Andros were nearing Earth and had NASA build a rocket that would fit the specifications.
Veer away. You're on a collision course.
Wait, it's opening up. It's pulling us in.
Who? Looks like we're gonna find out.
I have amazing news. I think I've finally broken the code.
What code?
For the Astral Megazord.
Alpha, what's going on?
This box contains the code that links the shuttle with the megaship, creating the Astral Megazord. It's all part of Zordon's master plan.
With that in mind, have you ever wondered why the militaries never really attack the monsters? Because Zordon has to deal with the world governments not to intervene, and they are happy not to. The world militaries can watch Zordon and the Rangers fight without having to show off their toys to other military powers. That's actually pretty good. So with Zordon being interconnected with the powerful people in the governments, I'm pretty sure he could have had the hangars built with no problems at all, and the ship from NASA to have the specifications. Contracted the military and local police to give the Rangers leeway and convince the Earth government to allow the Rangers to do what they need without hesitation. And the Rangers from Mighty Morphin to Turbo live near the military base, the baseball, the evacuations, and the white gloves. We at Zero to Hero have proven that Zordon is a well-connected head in a tube. So transition. If you like this, please like and subscribe. Where I'm pointing, I'll have Jim put the links. Comment below if you want to fight us about this theory. And of the eternal words of Zordon, come at me, bro. So transition. Well, when you get out of the main city, it becomes far more common to have a car. And American cars in Japan are not expensive to own. So why not something from home that stands out a little bit? Coming in about 250,000 yen, which is about 20,000 American dollars. American dollar dues. Okay, I gotta read that one again. Okay,